the world has changed. In the early 2000s, habit advice was simple. Do it for 21 days. In the 2010s, it got a bit smarter. Focus on the cue, the routine, and the reward. But it is now 2026, and the old habit loop is being outsmarted by the device in your pocket. Right now, you are in a war. On one side is your biological brain, evolved for the savannah, seeking sugar, comfort, and safety. On the other side is a trillion-dollar AI infrastructure, hyper-personalized, constantly learning, and specifically designed to keep you scrolling, consuming, and reacting. If you try to build habits using 20th century willpower, you will lose. You are bringing a knife to a drone fight. Chapter 1 is about the 2026 paradigm. It is the realization that your habits are no longer just things you do. Your habits are the operating system of your life. If you don't program your habits, the algorithm will program them for you. The collapse of the standard day. In the past, habits were tied to locations. You had work habits at the office and home habits at the house. By 2026, that boundary has dissolved. You work where you sleep where you scroll. Because the environment is fluid, your habits have become de-anchored. This is why you feel tired but haven't done anything. This is why you feel busy but aren't productive. Your brain doesn't know what mode it is in. It is trying to do deep work while your nervous system is prepared for a TikTok dopamine hit. To future-proof your life, we must move away from location-based habits and move towards state-based habits. The state-based habit model. In 2026, the question is not, where am I? The question is, what state of mind do I need to be in? State 1, deep alpha, creation, problem solving. State 2, beta, execution, management. State 3, delta, recovery, sleep. Your blueprint is a series of triggers that force your brain into these states, regardless of where you are sitting. The context collapse problem. Real-life problem. You sit down to write a report, but you find yourself checking your 14th tab of the morning. You aren't lazy. You are suffering from context collapse. Your brain sees your laptop and associates it with work, stress, entertainment, YouTube, socializing, Discord, WhatsApp, shopping, Amazon. When one tool does everything, it does nothing well. The 2026 blueprint fixes this with hardware-software partitioning. Strategy: the device divorce. If you want to build a deep work habit, you cannot do it on the same device where you play games. The blueprint: dedicate one specific focus device. An old laptop, a tablet with no browser, or even a specific browser profile with all extensions blocked. The habit: you only open that device when you are in deep alpha state. The result: eventually, the physical act of opening that lid triggers the brain to focus. The friction of the old world is gone. The myth of the morning person. For years, experts told you that the only way to be successful was to wake up at 5 a.m. In 2026, we know better. We have the biological data. Some of you are lions, early, some are wolves, late, and some are dolphins, irregular. Future-proofing your life means stopping the war with your biology. If you are a wolf and you try to force a 5 a.m. workout, you are creating biological friction. You will eventually quit. Not because you are weak, but because you are fighting your DNA. The Blueprint 2026 uses chronotype alignment. We don't build habits for an ideal self. We build habits for your actual biological self. The willpower tax. Every time you have to decide to do something, you pay a tax. Should I go to the gym now or later? Tax paid. Should I eat the salad or the burger? Tax paid. By 2 p.m., most people are bankrupt. Their willpower is gone, and they default to the algorithm's choice. junk food, and scrolling. The 2026 paradigm is about decision elimination. We don't want you to have strong willpower. We want you to have zero decisions. In the blueprint, your day is a series of if-then statements. If it is 8 a.m., then I am wearing my gym shoes. If I open my laptop, then the first app to open is my task list. By automating the start of the habit, you save your energy for the execution of the habit. The hook, the 1% drift. Why is this urgent? Because of the drift. In 2026, if you are not actively designing your life, you are drifting at a rate of 1% per day toward the common baseline. The common baseline is physically sedentary, mentally distracted, emotionally reactive, financially stagnant. If you do nothing, that is where you will end up. The default settings of modern life lead to a 2026 version of burnout. The blueprint is your manual override. Real-life problem, the always-on fatigue. We solve this with the digital sunset. Most people try to stop working at 5 p.m., but their phone keeps pinging. The habit of work never stops. In the blueprint, we create a physical ritual to signal the end of the day. The power down ritual, the brain dump, write the top 3 tasks for tomorrow. Closes the open loops. The docking. The phone is placed in a charging station outside the bedroom. The physical bridge, a 5-minute walk or a shower. This isn't just relaxing, it is a neural reset. It protects your sleep, which protects your brain, which protects your future. Action plan for Chapter 1. Step 1. The context audit. Identify your most dangerous device, the one you use for both work and play. Starting tomorrow, create a work-only profile on that device. No social media, no bookmarks, no saved passwords for shopping. Step 2. Find your chronotype. Don't set an alarm this weekend. See when your body naturally wakes up. That is your peak window. Stop trying to fit a square habit into a round biological hole. Step 3. The first if-then. Pick one habit you've been struggling with. Create an if-then statement for it. If I finish my morning coffee, then I will write for 10 minutes. Commit to this for 48 hours. Nothing more. The future doesn't belong to the smartest or the strongest. It belongs to the disciplined architect. It belongs to the person who realizes that in a world of AI noise, a simple, consistent routine is a superpower. You are about to build your blueprint. It will be custom, it will be biological, it will be unbreakable. In the next chapter, we are going to talk about your focus. We are going to build neural firewalls. I'm going to show you how to protect your brain from the trillion-dollar algorithms that want to steal your life. The 2026 reboot starts now. Chapter 2. Neural Firewalls. Protecting your focus from hyper-personalized algorithms. By the time you finish listening to this chapter, a dozen different artificial intelligences will have competed for your attention. In 2026, the algorithms are no longer just guessing what you like. They are utilizing real-time biometric feedback from your smartwatch, your search history, and even the micro-expressions on your face to predict your next craving before you even feel it. This is hyper-personalized persuasion. The engineers at these tech giants have one metric: time on device. They don't care if you achieve your goals. They don't care if you are happy. They only care that you are engaged. Your brain is a biological machine running on dopamine. The algorithms have found the back door into that machine. If you do not install a neural firewall, you are not the user. You are the product being harvested. Chapter 2 is about reclaiming the most valuable resource you own: your sovereign attention. The myth of multitasking, the context switch tax. We used to think we could do two things at once. In 2026, neuroscience has debunked this completely. You don't multitask, you context switch. Every time you are working on a project and you just quickly check a notification, your brain pays a residue tax. A part of your attention stays stuck on that notification for up to 20 minutes. If you check your phone every 10 minutes, your brain never reaches deep alpha state. You are permanently operating at 60% of your cognitive capacity. To future-proof your career, you must become a deep work specialist. In an AI world, basic tasks are automated. The only thing the market pays for now is complex problem-solving and deep creativity. Both require a neural firewall. Firewall Layer 1, the physical air gap. The strongest firewall is a physical one. If the phone is in the room, it is draining your attention bank, even if it is face down. Your brain is using energy to not check it. The strategy, the phone silo habit. When you enter your deep alpha window, from Chapter 1, the phone must be in a different room. The blueprint. Buy a physical kitchen timer or a dedicated alarm clock. The habit. For 60 minutes, the phone is silenced and placed in a drawer in another room. This is an air gap. The result. Without the visual cue of the device, your brain stops seeking the dopamine hit and begins to settle into the task. Firewall Layer 2. Notification triage. Most people have their notifications set to loud and random. This is an invitation for the world to interrupt you whenever it wants. In 2026, you must switch to batching. The blueprint. Go into your settings. Turn off all non-human notifications. If it's an app telling you about a sale or a memory from 5 years ago, it is a virus. Delete it. The habit. Set 3 specific check windows per day. 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 6 p.m. The result? You become the processor, not the reactor. You respond to the world on your schedule, not the algorithms. The infinite scroll. Kill switch. The infinite scroll is a psychological trap based on variable reward. It's the same mechanism used in slot machines. You keep scrolling because the next post might be the one that gives you a hit of joy. You need to break the visual dopamine loop. Strategy. The grayscale filter. Go into your phone's accessibility settings. Set a shortcut to turn the screen to grayscale, black and white. The algorithm uses vibrant reds, blues, and yellows to trigger your brain. When the screen is gray, Instagram looks like a boring newspaper. The dopamine hit is cut by 80%. The habit. From 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., your phone must be in grayscale. This makes the late-night scroll physically unrewarding. Environmental neural firewalls, the focus anchor. Your brain associates your environment with specific behaviors. This is called staged learning. If you try to do deep work in the same chair where you watch Netflix, your brain will struggle to focus. You need a focus anchor. This can be a specific scent, a specific pair of noise-canceling headphones, or a specific playlist, lo-fi, binaural beats, or white noise. The blueprint. Pick one song or one specific scent, like peppermint or sandalwood. The habit. Play that song only when you are doing deep work. Never use it for anything else. The result. Within 2 weeks, your brain will build a neural bridge. The moment you hear that music or smell that scent, your brain will automatically trigger the focus state. You have bypassed the need for willpower. The search first, social second rule. The algorithm wins when you open an app with no purpose. When you just check the feed, you are lost. The blueprint. Move all social apps off your home screen into a folder titled Vampires. The habit. You are only allowed to open a social app if you have a specific target action, e.g., I am checking the time of the event, or I am replying to Jim. The result? You are using the tool rather than the tool using you. Real-life problem. The boredom reflex. The most dangerous moment for your neural firewall is the micro gap. You are standing in line for coffee. You are waiting for the elevator. You are on the toilet. The moment your brain feels 2 seconds of boredom, you reach for the phone. You are training your brain to never be alone with its own thoughts. This kills creativity. The habit. Practice intentional boredom. For 2 minutes a day, sit and do nothing. No phone, no podcast, no music. The result? You strengthen your boredom threshold. This makes it easier to stay focused on a difficult task later in the day. Action plan for Chapter 2. Step 1. Install the grayscale filter. Change your phone settings right now. Use it in black and white for the rest of the day. Notice how your crave for the screen drops. Step 2. The phone silo hour. Pick 1 hour tomorrow where your phone is in a different room while you work. No exceptions. Step 3. The notification purge. Open your settings. Delete any app that has sent you a notification in the last 24 hours that wasn't from a human being you actually know. In the year 2026, attention is the new currency. The poor will spend their attention on the algorithm. The rich, the sovereign, will invest their attention in themselves. Your focus is a fortress. You have just built the first wall. In the next chapter, we are going to look at your physical engine. We are going to stop guessing and start measuring. We are going to talk about the biosync protocol, how to align your habits with the data your body is already trying to tell you. Protect the fortress. Chapter 3. The biosync protocol. Aligning habits with your personal biological data. In the past, health advice was generic. Eat 2,000 calories, walk 10,000 steps, sleep 8 hours. By 2026, we have realized that generic is the enemy of optimal. You are wearing a supercomputer on your wrist or a ring on your finger that tracks your heart rate variability, HRV, your blood glucose levels, and your respiratory rate. Yet most people treat these devices like expensive toys rather than what they truly are, the dashboard of the soul. The biosync protocol is about ending the guesswork era. If you try to perform a high-intensity habit when your body is in a state of biological repair, you aren't building discipline. You are building burnout. Chapter 3 is about syncing your habits to your unique biological reality. The HRV green light. Knowing when to push heart rate variability, HRV, is the most important metric you aren't using. It measures the variation in time between your heartbeats. High HRV means your nervous system is recovered and ready for stress. Low HRV means you are overtaxed, fighting an illness, or mentally exhausted. The real-life problem. You have a habit of going to a 6 a.m. CrossFit class. You wake up, your tracker shows a low HRV, and your body feels like lead. You force yourself to go anyway because consistency is key. The 2026 result. You injure yourself, your cortisol spikes, and your productivity for the rest of the day is destroyed. The blueprint. Check your recovery score before you check your email. The habit. The pivot or push rule. If your recovery is green, high HRV, execute your most difficult habit. Go for the heavy lift. If your recovery is yellow-red, low HRV, pivot to a maintenance habit. Replace the gym with a 20-minute walk or 10 minutes of mobility work. The result? You maintain the identity of the habit without breaking the machinery of your body. The glucose focus link. In 2026, we understand that brain fog isn't a lack of motivation. It's a glucose crash. If you eat a high-carb breakfast and then try to do deep work, from Chapter 2, your insulin spike will sabotage your focus within 90 minutes. The blueprint, the stabilized morning. The habit, front-load your protein and healthy fats. Save your carbohydrates for after your most important cognitive work is done. The result, you create a glucose flatline, giving your brain a steady stream of energy instead of a roller coaster of crashes. Temperature minimums, hacking the wake-up. Your body temperature naturally drops to its lowest point about 2 hours before you wake up. This is your temperature minimum, the real-life problem. You struggle to get out of bed. You feel groggy for hours. This is sleep inertia. The 2026 solution. To trigger the wake-up habit, you must manually raise your core temperature. The habit, the thermal trigger. Light. Get 5 minutes of bright light, ideally sunlight, in your eyes immediately. This triggers cortisol release. Movement, 10 air squats or a quick walk. Cold. A 30-second cold burst at the end of your shower. The result, you are using biology to force quit sleep mode. You don't need coffee to feel awake. You need a temperature spike. The caffeine 90-minute delay. Most people reach for caffeine the moment they wake up. This is a mistake in 2026. Adenosine, the chemical that makes you feel sleepy, is still being cleared from your brain when you wake up. If you mask it with caffeine immediately, the adenosine stays there, waiting to hit you in a 2:00 p.m. crash. The habit. Delay your first cup of caffeine by 90 to 120 minutes after waking. The result. You allow your natural biology to clear the sleep pressure. Your caffeine hit will be more effective, and the afternoon crash will vanish. Chronotype task matching. We touched on this in Chapter 1, but here is the 2026 data. Your brain's ability to handle different types of tasks changes throughout the day based on your circadian rhythm. Analytical tasks, taxes, coding, strategy. Best done in the peak, usually morning for most. Administrative tasks, email, meetings. Best done in the trough, early afternoon when energy dips. Creative tasks, brainstorming, writing. Best done in the recovery phase, late afternoon, early evening when the inhibitory filter of the brain loosens. The blueprint. Stop fighting your rhythm. Don't schedule a brainstorming session at 9 a.m. if you are an analytical morning person. Use your brain's natural internal weather to guide your habit stack. Action plan for Chapter 3. Step 1. The morning metric. Look at your wearable data tomorrow morning. Do not look at your notifications. Look at your HRV or readiness score. Step 2. The caffeine delay. Tomorrow, try to wait until you have been awake for at least 90 minutes before having your first coffee. Drink 16 ounces of water with sea salt first. Step 3. The trough switch. Identify the hour of the day when you feel the most sluggish, usually between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. Schedule your easiest, most mindless habit for that window. You are not a static object. You are a biological process. The old world taught you to ignore your body to get results. The 2026 world teaches you that listening to your body is the ultimate high-performance habit. Sync the system. Master the machine. In the next chapter, we are going to talk about the building blocks of change. We are going to stop trying to climb the mountain and start moving pebbles. We are going to talk about micro-dosing discipline. Chapter 4. Micro-dosing discipline. The power of 60-second success sprints. The biggest lie in habit formation is that you need big blocks of time to change your life. You think you need an hour to work out. You think you need an afternoon to plan your business. You think you need a weekend to meditate. In the hyper-accelerated world of 2026, those big blocks are a luxury you don't have, and waiting for them is a form of procrastination. We call this the perfectionist's paralysis. If you can't do it perfectly for 60 minutes, you do nothing for 0 minutes. Chapter 4 is about micro-dosing discipline. It is about the 60-second success sprint. It is the realization that consistency is not about the duration of the effort, but the frequency of the trigger. The neuroscience of the micro-win. Your brain doesn't care if you ran 5 miles or 50 yards when it comes to neural plasticity. What it cares about is the successful completion of a cycle. When you set a goal and finish it, your brain releases a small pulse of dopamine. This reinforces the winner effect. In 2026, we use microdoses to keep the success circuit primed. If you wait until the end of the day to do one big thing, your brain spent the other 23 hours in a state of habit decay. By microdosing, you are keeping the engine idling at high performance all day long. Strategy 1. The interstitial sprint. The interstitial is the space between tasks. You finish a Zoom call. You are about to start an email. Most people use this 2-minute gap to just check their phone, breaking their neural firewall from Chapter 2. The 2026 blueprint. The habit. The 60-second reset. The action, 20 air squats, or 10 deep breaths, or clearing 5 items off your physical desk. The result, you have closed the work loop and opened the focus loop with a win. You enter the next task with higher energy than you left the last one. Strategy 2. The minimum viable rep, MVR. We talked about biosyncing in Chapter 3. Some days you are at 20% capacity. This is when habits usually die. You skip the gym, and then you never miss twice, the old rule, turns into miss forever. The blueprint, the MVR. Every habit in your life must have a 60-second version. The gym habit MVR, 1 minute of planks in your living room. The meditation habit MVR, 3 mindful breaths while the kettle boils. The reading habit MVR, reading exactly 1 paragraph. The rule, on your worst day, you must execute the MVR. The logic, you aren't training your muscles, you are training your identity. You are proving that you are the type of person who never misses. Strategy. Impulse inhibition training. In 2026, your discipline muscle is actually your inhibition muscle. It is your ability to say no to the algorithm. The microdose. Next time you feel the itch to check your phone, set a timer for 60 seconds. Sit with the discomfort. Do nothing for 60 seconds. The result? You are microdosing the ability to resist distraction. Every time you win a 60-second battle, the 60-minute battle becomes easier. The habit stacking 2.0 trigger action celebrate. In 2026, we have perfected the stack. To make a microdose stick, you need the celebration pulse. When you finish your 60-second sprint, you must physically acknowledge the win. A small yes or a fist pump. Why? This tells your brain, this action felt good. Do it again. The blueprint. Trigger. I close my laptop. Action. I do 10 push-ups. Celebrate. I tell myself, strong. Real-life problem. The sedentary slide. In 2026, sitting is the new smoking has been replaced by stagnation is the new death. If you stay in one physical position for 4 hours, your lymphatic system stops and your cognitive speed drops. The microdose. The 55-5 rule. Set a haptic alarm on your watch for every 55 minutes. When it buzzes, you have 60 seconds of explosive movement. The result? You prevent the energy slump. You are biohacking your own alertness through microdoses of movement. Action plan for Chapter 4. Step 1. Define your MVRs. Right now, Write down the 60-second version of your 3 most important habits. Step 2. The interstitial challenge. Between your next 2 tasks today, do not touch your phone. Do 60 seconds of movement or deep breathing. Feel the shift in your state. Step 3. The celebration pulse. The next time you complete even a tiny task, like answering an email you've been dreading, give yourself a physical win signal. Big changes are made of small moments. In 2026, the person who can master the 60-second sprint will outpace the person waiting for the perfect hour. Stop waiting for the mountain to move. Start moving the pebbles. In the next chapter, we are going to look at your surroundings. We are going to turn your house into a high-performance laboratory. We are going to talk about Environment 3.0. Chapter 5. Environment 3.0. Designing your space for hybrid reality. It is 2026. Your home is no longer just a place to sleep. It is a broadcast studio, a gym, a sanctuary, and a boardroom. This is hybrid reality. Most people are still living in Environment 1.0, a space designed for consumption and comfort. They have a giant TV as the centerpiece of their living room and a bed that is cluttered with electronics. Then they wonder why they feel lazy, distracted, and tired. Your environment is the invisible primary cue. In the battle for consistency, your environment is either an incline that makes you work harder or a downhill slope that carries you towards success. Willpower is a limited resource, Chapter 1, but your environment is a constant force. Chapter 5 is about Environment 3.0. We are going to stop fighting our surroundings and start engineering them to make failure physically inconvenient. The path of least resistance principle. Human beings are biologically wired to be lazy. We will always choose the path that requires the least amount of caloric energy. In the past, this kept us alive. In 2026, it keeps us sedentary. The 2026 Blueprint. You must redesign your space so that the good habit is the path of least resistance and the bad habit is locked behind a wall of friction. Real-life problem. You want to eat healthier, but the first thing you see when you walk into the kitchen is a box of cereal. The 3.0 fix. Visual priming. The habit. Keep a pre-cut bowl of vegetables at eye level in the fridge. Hide the cereal in a high, opaque cabinet that requires a stool to reach. The result? You aren't choosing the vegetables. You are just taking the easiest option available. Contextual anchoring. One space, one soul. The biggest threat to focus in 2026 is context bleed. If you work on your bed, your brain doesn't know if it's time to be alert or time to produce melatonin. You are confusing your nervous system. The blueprint. The zoning law. The action. Divide your living space into strict behavioral zones. The deep zone. No phone allowed. High-intensity lighting, a specific scent. The social zone. Bright, open, and tech-integrated. The recovery zone. Low light, no screens, no work talk. The habit. If you need to check social media while in the deep zone, you must physically stand up and move to the social zone. The result. The physical movement creates a conscious gait. Usually, the effort of moving is enough to make you stay on task. Digital environment. The home screen lockdown. Your physical environment doesn't stop at your skin. Your digital home screen is the environment you spend 5 hours a day in. The blueprint, the tools-only interface. The habit. Move every infinite scroll app, Instagram, TikTok, news, at least 3 swipes away or into a hidden folder. Your primary home screen should only have tools: calendar, maps, camera, notes. The result? You stop accidental browsing. Every time you open your phone, you are forced to be intentional about what you are looking for. Friction engineering. The 20-second rule. In 2026, the difference between a habit that sticks and one that dies is 20 seconds. If you can reduce the startup time of a good habit by 20 seconds, your success rate doubles. The blueprint. The stage-ready setup. The exercise habit. Don't just decide to go to the gym. Put your shoes by the door and fill your water bottle the night before. The reading habit. Place the book open on your pillow every morning. The result. When the time comes to execute, there is no prep work to drain your willpower. You just start. Bioresponsive design. Lighting and sound. In 2026, we use technology to fix the problems technology created. Your brain's circadian rhythm is driven by blue light. The habit. The lighting sunset. The blueprint. After 8 p.m., switch every light in your home to warm orange or red tones. Turn off overhead lights and use lamps. The result. You are manually triggering melatonin production. You are preloading your sleep habit 2 hours before you even hit the bed. The clean slate protocol. An environment 3.0 must be self-healing. Clutter is visual noise. It occupies a part of your working memory. The habit. The 10-minute reset. The action. Every night before you power down, Chapter 1, you must return your environment to its default state. Clear the desk. Wash the cup. Fold the blanket. The result. You give your tomorrow self the gift of a clean slate. Starting a habit in a messy room is 2x harder than starting in a clean one. Action plan for Chapter 5. Step 1. The path of least resistance audit. Identify one bad habit you have. Add 3 steps of physical friction to it right now, e.g., put the TV remote in a drawer in a different room. Step 2. Define your deep zone. Pick one chair or one corner of a table. Declare it a phone-free zone. From now on, your phone is forbidden from touching that surface. Step 3. The lighting shift. Tonight, at 8 p.m., turn off all the big lights in your house. Use only small lamps or candles. Notice how much faster your brain slows down. You are the architect of your own lab. If the lab is a mess, the experiments fail. If the lab is optimized, greatness becomes inevitable. Stop fighting your nature. Start designing your space. In the next chapter, we are going to look inside your skull. We are going to talk about the chemical that drives every single thing you do. We are going to talk about the dopamine audit. Chapter 6. The dopamine audit. Resetting your brain's reward system. In 2026, we are living through a dopamine supernova. Dopamine is the molecule of more. It is not the chemical of pleasure. It is the chemical of anticipation and craving. It is what made our ancestors hunt for food and seek out mates. But today, the hunt has been digitized. Every notification, every like, every short-form video, and every AI-generated headline is a precision-engineered dopamine spike. The problem is down-regulation. When you blast your brain with high-intensity dopamine all day, your brain protects itself by shrinking its receptors. This is why, in 2026, you feel bored doing productive work. It's why you can't sit through a 10-minute video without checking your comments. Your reward system is broken. You aren't lazy. You are chemically desensitized. Chapter 6 is the dopamine audit. We are going to recalibrate your brain so that difficult habits feel rewarding again. The dopamine baseline. Why you feel meh. Think of your dopamine levels like a pool. When you scroll TikTok for an hour, you are splashing all the water out of the pool. When you finally stop and try to read a book or work on your business, the pool is empty. You feel flat, irritable, and unmotivated. The 2026 Blueprint. To future-proof your productivity, you must protect your baseline dopamine. You must stop the leaks so that when you actually need the drive to do something hard, the water is there. Strategy 1. The no-phone morning fortress. The most dangerous thing you can do in 2026 is check your phone within the first 60 minutes of waking up. The problem: by checking your phone immediately, you are setting your dopamine ceiling at a level that real life can never match. You start the day in a reactive mode, hunting for the next hit. The habit, the analog hour, the action. No screens for the first 60 minutes. Use this time for movement, hydration, or sunlight. Chapter 3. The result: you allow your dopamine levels to rise naturally. You start the day with a clear engine, making deep work, Chapter 2, feel significantly easier. Strategy 2. Debundling stimulants. In the old way, people stacked dopamine hits. They would drink coffee while listening to a podcast, while checking emails, while eating breakfast. The 2026 problem. This is dopamine stacking. It raises your baseline so high that doing just one thing becomes impossible. The habit, the monotasking rule. The action: drink your coffee in silence. Walk without a podcast. Eat without a screen. The result: you are retraining your brain to be satisfied with a single stream of information. You are lowering your boredom threshold. Strategy 3. The wait time gate. Artificial intelligence in 2026 provides instant gratification. You ask, it answers. You want, you buy. This kills your delay of gratification muscle, the #1 predictor of long-term success. The blueprint, the 24-hour cart rule, the habit. You are forbidden from buying anything online the moment you want it. You must put it in the cart and wait 24 hours. The result: the initial dopamine spike of wanting fades. Usually, the next day, you realize you didn't actually need it. You are reclaiming control over your impulses. The dopamine fast, the weekend reset. Once a week, you need a neural cleanse. The blueprint, the Sunday low dopamine day. The action: from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Sunday, you eliminate all supernormal stimuli. No social media, no YouTube, no video games, no processed sugar. The activities: walking, reading physical books, talking to people in person, cooking, staring at trees. The result: this boredom is medicinal. It allows your dopamine receptors to upregulate. By Monday morning, you will feel a genuine hunger to get back to work. Real-life problem: the procrastination loop. Procrastination is often just a dopamine swap. You don't want to do the hard task, so you swap it for a quick hit of social media. The habit, the 10-minute gap. The action: if you feel the urge to procrastinate, you are allowed to stop working, but you are not allowed to check your phone. You must sit in silence for 10 minutes. The logic: silence is more boring than work. Usually, after 3 minutes of staring at the wall, your brain decides that working on the project is actually more interesting than doing nothing. Action plan for Chapter 6. Step 1. The analog hour. Starting tomorrow morning, keep your phone in a drawer for the first 60 minutes of the day. Use a physical alarm clock. Step 2. The pod walk. Today, take a 15-minute walk. Leave your headphones at home. Listen to the ambient sounds of the world. Notice the itch for stimulation, and let it pass. Step 3. Audit your stacks. Identify one activity where you usually stack dopamine, e.g. I'm watching Netflix while eating. Commit to doing that activity solo for the next 3 days. In a world addicted to the next hit, the person who can find joy in the slow build wins. Dopamine should be the reward for achievement, not the fuel for distraction. Fix the chemicals. Reclaim the drive. In the next chapter, We are going to get mechanical. We are going to talk about friction engineering. I'm going to show you how to use automation to make failure physically impossible. Chapter 7. Friction Engineering. Using automation to make failure impossible. In the old world, people relied on willpower. They woke up and asked themselves, do I feel like going to the gym? Or do I feel like eating healthy today? In 2026, we know that willpower is a battery that drains every time you use it. If you have to decide to be disciplined, you have already lost. The world is too fast, and the distractions are too sophisticated. To future-proof your habits, you must stop being a disciplined person and start being a friction engineer. Friction engineering is the art of manipulating the physics of your environment. It is the realization that motivation is a feeling, but friction is a fact. If you make a bad habit difficult to do, you won't do it. If you make a good habit impossible to miss, you will do it forever. Chapter 7 is about using automation and physical physics to make your success inevitable. The law of inverse friction. The physics of habits is simple. To build a good habit, decrease friction until it is zero. To break a bad habit, increase friction until it is unbearable. In 2026, we have tools that can do this for us. We no longer rely on our best intentions. We rely on strategic barriers. Strategy 1. The digital drawbridge. Automated lockdown. The biggest leak in your day is the accidental scroll. You open your phone to check the weather and wake up 45 minutes later in a YouTube rabbit hole. The 2026 Blueprint, the App Blocker 2.0. The habit. Use an AI-driven app blocker that is synced to your calendar. At 9 a.m., the drawbridge goes up. All social and news apps are physically locked. Not hidden, locked. The result. When you instinctively reach for the phone, you hit a wall. That split second of friction is the pattern interrupt you need to stay on task. Strategy 2. The subscription purge, financial friction. We often keep bad habits because they are auto-renewing. The problem. You have 5 streaming services and 3 food delivery apps. The friction to consume is 0. The habit. The manual-only rule. The action. Delete your credit card info from food delivery apps and one-click shopping sites. The result. If you want to order junk food, you have to find your wallet, type in 16 digits, and confirm the CVV. That 60 seconds of friction is usually enough time for your prefrontal cortex to say, I'm not actually hungry, I'm just bored. Strategy 3. The kit staging protocol. In 2026, the stage-ready setup is the ultimate hack. If the setup for a habit takes more than 20 seconds, the willpower tax, Chapter 1, becomes too high. The blueprint. The zero setup morning. The gym habit. You don't just put out your clothes. You put your gym shoes in front of the bedroom door. You have to step over them to leave. The deep work habit. Before you go to bed, open the document you need to work on. Leave it full screen. Turn the monitor off. The result. When you wake up, the starting friction is 0. You don't have to find the work. The work is already staring at you. Strategy 4. Outsourcing decisions to AI. Use 2026 technology for its intended purpose. Reducing cognitive load. The habit. Automated meal grocery logic. The action. Set up a recurring grocery delivery of 10 healthy staples, eggs, greens, protein. The result. You never have to decide what to buy. The healthy food arrives by default. To eat junk food, you would have to leave the house, creating massive friction. You have automated your nutrition. Real-life problem. The snooze button trap. The snooze button is a low-friction path to a ruined morning. The friction fix. The distance alarm. The action: place your phone or alarm in the bathroom. To turn it off, you must physically stand up, walk 15 feet, and turn on the light. The result: once you are standing in a bright bathroom, the friction to go back to bed is higher than the friction to just start the day. You have engineered the wake-up, the locked-in commitment, the financial penalty. Sometimes environmental friction isn't enough. You need social, financial friction. The blueprint, the anti-charity bet, the action. Use a platform like StickK or a similar 2026 smart contract app. Commit to a goal, e.g., I will walk 10K steps every day. If you fail, the app automatically sends $50 of your money to a cause you hate. The result: the friction to fail is now a $50 loss and a hit to your ego. This is high-stakes friction. It works when everything else fails. Action plan for Chapter 7. Step 1. Identify your high friction. Good habit. Pick one good habit you keep missing. Identify the exact physical step that slows you down. E.g., I have to find my gym bag. Solve that step today. Step 2. The one-click delete. Open your phone. Remove your saved payment methods from the one app that causes you to overspend or overeat. Step 3. The morning stage. Tonight, spend 3 minutes staging your environment for your first habit tomorrow. Make it so you can start in under 10 seconds. Don't be a hero. Be an engineer. The hero tries to push the boulder up the hill. The engineer builds a pulley system. Make your success the easiest thing you do all day. In the next chapter, we are going to look at how habits define who you are. We are going to move beyond what you do and talk about the identity stack. Chapter 8. The Identity Stack. Layering habits to become a polymath. In the early 2020s, people focused on outcome-based habits. They would say, I want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to earn 6 figures. They focused on the target. By 2026, we have realized that outcomes are fragile. If you hit the goal, you stop the habit. If you miss the goal, you feel like a failure. To future-proof your life in an era where AI can do any single task better than you cannot define yourself by a single output. You must define yourself by your identity stack. A polymath is someone whose knowledge spans various subjects. In 2026, being a specialist is a risk. Being a polymath is a superpower. You achieve this not by working 20 hours a day, but by layering habits so they become part of who you are, not just things on your to-do list. Chapter 8 is about the identity stack. We are going to stop trying to do habits and start being the person for whom those habits are a default. The I am filter. Every time you perform a habit, you are casting a vote for the person you believe you are. If you go to the gym, you cast a vote for being an athlete. If you write one paragraph, you cast a vote for being a writer. If you meditate for 1 minute, you cast a vote for being calm. In 2026, we use the I am filter to eliminate the friction of choice. The real-life problem. You are offered a donut at the office. The old way. You think, I'm trying to avoid sugar. This is a struggle of willpower. The 2026 blueprint. You think, I am someone who prioritizes high-octane fuel. The result, the decision is made instantly. You aren't restricting yourself. You are simply acting in alignment with your identity. Strategy 1. Habit layering, the stack. In 2026, time is compressed. We don't have time for 15 separate habits. We use habit layering. This is when you combine a physical habit, a mental habit, and a professional habit into one single block. The example, the sovereign commute. Physical, you walk or bike. Movement. Mental, You listen to a high-level lecture in a new field, learning. Professional. You use voice to text to outline your day's strategy, planning. The identity created. You aren't just going to work. You are a strategic polymath in motion. Strategy 2. The identity anchor. To make a new identity stick, you need an anchor, a physical object that triggers the role. The blueprint. If you want to build the identity of a deep thinker, you use a specific pair of glasses or a specific notebook. The habit. You only wear those glasses when you are doing deep research. The result. The object becomes a neural toggle. It tells your brain, the researcher is now in control. Leave the distracted socialite at the door. Strategy 3. Skill stacking for 2026. The most valuable people in 2026 are not the ones who are 1% better at coding. They are the ones who combine 3 unrelated skills. The blueprint. Skill A, data analysis. Skill B, public speaking. Skill C, psychology. The identity. You are a behavioral strategist. The habit. Dedicate 20 minutes a day to a bridge skill, something outside your primary field that makes your primary field 10x more valuable. The 5-minute transition ritual. In 2026, the biggest struggle is switching identities. You go from parent to executive to creative in the span of an hour. This causes identity blur, leading to burnout. The habit. The clean room transition. The action. Between identity shifts, spend 5 minutes in total silence. Take off the costume of the last role. The result? You prevent the stress of the office from leaking into your home life. You become a master of your own internal states. Real-life problem, the imposter voice. When you start a new identity stack, the voice in your head will say, "You aren't a runner," or "You aren't a businessman." The 2026 fix, the evidence-first rule. The action. Do the smallest possible version of the habit, the MVR from Chapter 4, first thing in the morning. The logic. By 8 a.m., you have evidence that you are a runner because you ran for 60 seconds. You have silenced the imposter with data. Action plan for Chapter 8. Step 1. Define your triple identity. Write down 3 identities you want to possess by 2030, e.g., fit, wealthy, wise. Step 2. Create your skill stack. Identify 1 bridge skill. You can start learning for 15 minutes a day that complements your current job. Step 3. The identity anchor. Pick a physical object, a watch, a pen, a hat, and assign it an identity. Wear it only when you are performing that role today. You are not a fixed entity. You are a work in progress. In 2026, the most successful people are the ones who can reinvent themselves by changing their habits at the identity level. Stop trying to do more. Start being the person who handles it all with ease. In the next chapter, we are going to look at your tribe. We are going to talk about social symbiosis, how to ensure the people around you are fueling your blueprint, not draining it. Chapter 9. Social symbiosis. Curating high-performance tribes in a digital world. By 2026, the walls of your social circle have vanished. You are no longer just influenced by the people you grab coffee with. You are influenced by the 500 people you follow on social media, the AI avatars you interact with, and the digital communities you inhabit. This is social symbiosis. In biology, symbiosis is a relationship where 2 organisms live in close proximity and influence each other's survival. In 2026, your habits are socially contagious. If your digital tribe is outraged, you will be outraged. If your physical tribe is sedentary, you will be sedentary. You cannot maintain a future-proof blueprint if you are surrounded by people living in the past. You don't need friends who validate your excuses. You need a tribe that makes your highest standards feel like the absolute minimum. Chapter 9 is about curating your social ecosystem to make high performance your default social setting. The peer pressure pivot. We used to think peer pressure was a negative thing, teenagers doing reckless things to fit in. By 2026, we've learned to use it as a positive weapon. If you join a group where everyone wakes up at 5 a.m., you will eventually find it weird to sleep until 8 a.m. You won't need willpower, you will have the social mirror. You will do it because it's what people like us do. Strategy 1. The digital proximity audit. Your digital tribe is the loudest voice in your head. The problem: you follow hate-follow accounts or influencers who trigger your comparison trap. This drains your dopamine baseline. Chapter 6. The habit. The follow, mute, purge. The action. Every Sunday, look at the last 10 accounts you engaged with. If an account didn't leave you feeling smarter, wealthier, or more motivated, mute or unfollow. The result: you are curating a digital environment where every scroll is a neural prime for your goals. Strategy 2. The Council of Three. In the physical world, you don't need 1,000 friends. You need a council. To future-proof your habits, find 3 specific people. The mentor, someone 5 years ahead of you. They provide the map. The peer, someone at your level. They provide co-opetition, cooperative competition. The apprentice, someone 2 years behind you. They provide clarity through teaching. The habit: schedule a 15-minute sync with at least one of these people every week. The result: you are anchored in a hierarchy of growth. You are constantly being pulled up and constantly being reminded of how far you've come. Strategy 3. The Ghost Protocol, dealing with anchors. We all have anchors, old friends or family members who love the old version of you and resist your 2026 blueprint. They make fun of your new diet or your neural firewalls. The 2026 solution: the love them from a distance rule. The action: you don't have to fire your friends, but you must categorize them. If a friend is an anchor, you do not discuss your goals, your habits, or your business with them. The result: you protect your new identity, Chapter 8, from their skepticism. You give them your time, but not your influence. Real-life problem: the loneliness of high performance. Building a future-proof life can be isolating. Most people are moving in the opposite direction, the 1% drift. The habit: the signal routine. The action: be the person who signals your values. Post about the book you're reading. Share your deep work wins. The logic: by signaling your standards, you act as a magnet. The high performers in your extended network will find you. You are fishing for your tribe. The social friction hack. Use your tribe to engineer your environment. Chapter 5. The blueprint. The accountability bet. The habit: tell your most critical friend your goal. Give them $100. Tell them if you don't send a screenshot of your finished task by Friday, they get to keep the money. The result: you have turned social pressure into financial friction. You will do the work simply because you don't want to look like a failure to your peer. Action plan for Chapter 9. Step 1. The feed purge. Open your most used social app. Unfollow or mute 5 accounts that make you feel less than or angry. Step 2. Identify your council. Write down the names of 3 people who could be your mentor, peer, and apprentice. Reach out to one of them today just to say, "I value your perspective." Step 3. The signal. Share one habit win or one insight from this book with your network. See who likes or comments. Those are the seeds of your new tribe. You are a social animal. Stop trying to be a lone wolf. The lone wolf dies. The pack survives. In 2026, your pack is not defined by geography. It is defined by values. Pick your pack carefully. They are the wind at your back. In the next chapter, we are going to talk about what happens when the wind stops. We are going to talk about the resilience loop. How to build habits that hold you together when the world falls apart. Chapter 10. The resilience loop. Habits for emotional stability in chaos. It is 2026. The pace of change is no longer linear. It is exponential. Global markets shift overnight. AI disrupts entire career paths in a week, and the information fire hose never stops. In this environment, stress management is an outdated concept. You cannot manage a hurricane. You can only build a structure that is designed to bend without breaking. This is the resilience loop. Most people treat their emotional stability like a fair-weather friend. They are happy when things go well, and they collapse when a crisis hits. The sovereign leader does the opposite. They build emotional infrastructure during the quiet times, so that when the chaos arrives, their habits act as an automated stabilizer. Chapter 10 is about the habits that protect your inner state when the outer state is in flames. The negative visualization prime. In 2026, we utilize the ancient Stoic habit of premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, but with a modern twist. The real-life problem. You are blindsided by bad news, a layoff, a failed project, a health scare. The shock is what causes the emotional spiral, leading to habit collapse. The habit, the mental fire drill, the action. Once a week, spend 5 minutes visualizing a worst-case scenario for your current goals. See it clearly. The pivot. Then, visualize yourself executing your resilience loop, the MVRs from Chapter 4, in the middle of that crisis. The result? You are pre-stressing your system. When the crisis actually hits, your brain says, "I've been here before. I know the protocol." The physiological sigh. The 5-second reset. Stress is not just a thought. It is a biological state. When your breathing becomes shallow and your heart rate climbs, your brain loses access to the logic center. The blueprint, the 5-second reset. The habit. The moment you feel a flash of stress, an angry email, a sudden deadline, perform the physiological sigh. Action. Take a deep breath in through the nose, followed by a second, shorter sip of air at the very top. Then, a long, slow exhale through the mouth. The result? This is the fastest way to manually override your autonomic nervous system. It pops the alveoli in your lungs and dumps carbon dioxide, signaling to your brain that you are safe. The information quarantine. In 2026, the news cycle is designed to keep you in a state of high alert. This is an attack on your nervous system. The habit. The low information diet. The action. Stop doom scrolling. Set a strict 10-minute window per day to check global updates. No news before 10 a.m. No news after 8 p.m. The result? You stop leakages of your emotional energy into events you cannot control. You trade useless awareness for useful action. The wins of the day, journaling. Our brains are hardwired with a negative bias. We remember the one person who insulted us and forget the 10 people who praised us. In a chaotic world, this bias leads to burnout. The blueprint, the reverse to-do list. The habit. Every night, write down 3 things you did well today. Even if the day was a disaster, find 3 micro-wins. The result? You are retraining your reticular activating system, RAS, to look for evidence of your own agency, You are building the identity of someone who is effective regardless of the circumstances. The non-negotiable anchor. When a crisis hits, most people drop their good habits first. They stop sleeping, they stop moving, and they start eating junk. This is like throwing your life jacket overboard because the boat is leaking. The blueprint, the sacred minimum. The habit. Identify one habit that is your anchor. For some, it's a 15-minute walk. For others, it's a cold shower or a specific reading. The action. This habit is sacred. No matter how bad the day is, the anchor is dropped. The result. The anchor gives you a sense of internal control when external control is zero. It is the proof that you are still the sovereign of your own life. Action plan for Chapter 10. Step 1. The physiological sigh. Try it right now. 2 inhales, 1 long exhale. Feel your shoulders drop. Memorize this feeling. Step 2. Define your anchor. What is the one habit that makes you feel most like yourself? Declare it non-negotiable for the next 7 days. Step 3. The information purge. Turn off all breaking news notifications on your phone. If something is truly world-ending, someone will call you. Resilience is not about being tough. It is about being elastic. In 2026, the world will try to stretch you to the breaking point. The resilience loop is the thread that pulls you back together. Stay calm. Stay steady. The storm is just weather. In the next chapter, we are going to talk about your most valuable cognitive asset. We are going to talk about deep work decoupling, how to reclaim the ability to think without the help of an AI. Chapter 11. Deep work decoupling. Reclaiming the ability to think without assistance. In 2026, the world is divided into 2 classes of people: those who tell the AI what to do, and those who are told what to do by the AI. The greatest threat to your future proofing is not that AI will replace you, it's that it will atrophy you. We are living through cognitive outsourcing. We outsource our directions to GPS, our memories to search engines, and now, our very thoughts to large language models. The result? A softening of the mind. Most people in 2026 have lost the ability to sit with a complex problem for more than 3 minutes without asking a machine for the answer. This is a strategic disaster. If you can't think without assistance, you have no unique value. Chapter 11 is about deep work decoupling. It is the habit of detaching your brain from the digital hive mind to reclaim your raw human compute power. The prompt dependency trap. When you use AI to draft every email, write every report, and solve every conflict, you are training your brain to be a consumer of ideas, not a producer of logic. Your synaptic density actually decreases in the areas responsible for critical thinking. To be a sovereign leader in 2026, you must maintain a decoupled state. You must be able to generate insights that the AI, which is trained on the average of the past, could never predict. Strategy 1. The analog first hour. The most valuable insights in history didn't happen while staring at a screen. They happened on walks, in showers, and on blank sheets of paper. The blueprint, the whiteboard phase, the habit. For any new project, you are forbidden from opening an AI tool or a search engine for the first 60 minutes. The action. Use a physical notebook or a whiteboard. Draw the problem. Map the logic. Write the messy first draft by hand. The result. You force your brain to engage in generative thinking. You build the mental scaffolding yourself. When you eventually use AI, you use it as a critic, not a creator. Strategy 2. The boredom gap incubation. In 2026, we have eliminated empty time. We fill every gap with a podcast, a video, or an AI chat. But the brain requires incubation time to connect disparate ideas. The habit, the no-input walk. The action, Take a 20-minute walk every day with zero audio input. No music, no podcasts, just the sound of your own feet. The result? This triggers the default mode network, DMN, in the brain. This is where aha moments are born. You are decoupling from the noise to hear your own signal. Strategy 3. The Memory Palace Maintenance. We have stopped memorizing things because we can just look it up. But memory is the furniture of the mind. If you have an empty mind, you have nothing to think with. The blueprint. The core fact, habit. The habit. Every week, pick 3 complex concepts or data points in your field and memorize them deeply. Understand the first principles behind them. The result? You develop intuition. Intuition is just the brain's ability to pattern match against a rich internal database. By decoupling from the external database, you make your brain faster and more creative. The AI Mirror Review used technology to expose your weaknesses, not to hide them. The habit, the comparison audit, the action. Write your best solution to a problem. Then ask the AI for its solution. Compare the two. The analysis. Where was the AI better? Efficiency. Where were you better? Nuance, empathy, weirdness. The goal. Double down on the human nuance that the machine missed. That is your competitive advantage in 2026. Real-life problem. The short attention twitch. You try to read a long-form essay or a technical manual, and after 2 pages, you feel a physical twitch to check your notifications. This is your brain's focus circuit breaking. The habit. Progressive reading sprints. The action. Set a timer for 15 minutes. Read a physical book or a long-form paper. You are not allowed to look away. Every week, add 5 minutes. The result? You are recoupling your attention. You are proving that you, not the algorithm, control your focus. Action plan for Chapter 11. Step 1. The analog draft. The next time you have a hard task, stay off your computer for the first 20 minutes. Use a pen and paper. Experience the friction of thinking and embrace it. Step 2. The silent commute. Tomorrow, drive or ride to work in total silence. No radio, no phone. Let your mind wander. See what ideas pop into the vacuum. Step 3. Memorize a first principle. Pick one core law of your industry. EAG, the law of supply and demand, or the 80-20 rule. Spend 5 minutes explaining it out loud to an invisible audience until you can do it without stumbling. In a world of artificial intelligence, the rarest commodity is natural intelligence. Don't let your brain become a relay station for other people's data. Be the source. Decouple to lead. In the next chapter, we are going to look at the hidden engine of performance. We are going to talk about why the most productive thing you can do is nothing at all. We are going to talk about the recovery revolution. Chapter 12. The recovery revolution. Why sleep and rest are the new high-performance habits. In the late 20th century, we wore burnout like a badge of honor. We said things like, "I'll sleep when I'm dead." By 2026, we've realized that if you don't sleep, you'll be effectively dead in the marketplace much sooner than you think. In an AI-driven economy, the grind is a commodity. Robots don't get tired. They can grind 24/7. Your only competitive advantage is your human intuition, creativity, and high-level judgment. All 3 of those assets are the first to die when you are sleep-deprived. In 2026, recovery is the new discipline. If you are constantly on, you are never at your best. You are just a flickering bulb waiting to burn out. Chapter 12 is about the recovery revolution. We are going to stop viewing rest as the absence of work and start viewing it as the foundational habit that makes work possible. The sleep is a skill mindset. Most people think sleep is something that just happens to them. In the 2026 blueprint, sleep is an active performance protocol. You don't just go to bed, you prepare for system maintenance. The real-life problem: you stay up late scrolling, the dopamine trap, or answering just one more email. You wake up with brain fog, and you spend the first 4 hours of your day trying to find your focus. The blueprint, the 3-2-1 rule: 3 hours before bed, no more food. Gives your digestive system a rest so your core temperature can drop. 2 hours before bed, no more work. Shuts down the analytical beta waves. 1 hour before bed, no more screens. Protects your melatonin from blue light. The result: you aren't just sleeping longer, you are sleeping deeper. You are maximizing your REM and deep sleep cycles, the defragmentation and repair phases of the brain. Non-sleep deep rest, NSDR. The midday reboot. In 2026, the power nap has been replaced by NSDR. Napping can often lead to sleep inertia, feeling groggier than before. NSDR, also known as Yoga Nidra, is a guided relaxation that keeps you in a state of conscious stillness. The habit, the 10-minute reboot. The action: between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m., your circadian trough. Find a quiet spot, put on headphones, and play an NSDR track. The result: research shows that 10 to 20 minutes of NSDR can mimic the recovery of 2 hours of sleep. It resets your dopamine levels and clears the adenosine fog without the grogginess of a nap. The digital Sabbath. Decoupling the nervous system. Your nervous system was not designed to be pinged 3,000 times a day. By 2026, sympathetic overdrive, being stuck in a low-level fight-or-flight state, is the leading cause of chronic fatigue. The blueprint, the 24-hour offline window. The habit: pick one day a week, usually Sunday, where your phone is turned off and placed in a drawer. No checking, no just one photo. The result: you allow your nervous system to return to baseline. You will experience a withdrawal phase for the first 4 hours, followed by a profound sense of mental clarity and calm. Active recovery versus passive consumption. Most people think resting is watching Netflix. This is a mistake. Netflix is passive consumption. It is still input for the brain. It doesn't recover you. It just numbs you. The 2026 shift: active recovery. The habits: walking in nature, stretching, hot-cold therapy, Chapter 3, or engaging in a low-stakes hobby, like gardening or painting. The metric: if it requires a screen, it isn't recovery. If it engages your senses in the physical world, it is. The vacation daily principle. Don't wait for a 7-day vacation to recover. By the time you get there, you'll be too exhausted to enjoy it. You'll spend the first 3 days just coming down from the stress. The habit, the micro-vacation. The action: every day schedule 30 minutes of pure play. Do something with zero productivity value. The logic: this protects your joy baseline. It reminds your brain that you are more than a task execution machine. Action plan for Chapter 12. Step 1. Apply the 3-2-1 rule tonight. Commit to just one part of it tonight. No food 3 hours before bed, or no screens 1 hour before bed. Notice the difference in your morning readiness score. Step 2. The 10-minute NSDR. Tomorrow, instead of reaching for a second cup of coffee at 2 p.m., try a 10-minute NSDR session on YouTube or a meditation app. Step 3. Define your active recovery. Identify one activity that recharges you that doesn't involve a battery or a screen. Do it for 15 minutes today. The fastest way to get ahead is to make sure you don't break. In 2026, the sovereign is the one who is well rested enough to spot the opportunities that everyone else is too tired to see. Sleep is your superpower. Rest is your edge. In the next chapter, we are going to talk about the pivot. We are going to talk about how to change your habits in real time as the world shifts. We are going to talk about Agile habit design. Chapter 13. Agile habit design. How to pivot your routine in under 24 hours. In the old world of habit science, the goal was rigidity. We were told to build chains of habits and never break the chain. We were told to do the same thing at the same time every single day for years. But it is 2026. Rigidity is no longer a strength. It is a fragility. If your future-proof life depends on a 90-minute morning routine that only works when you are in your own house, with your own coffee and no emergencies, then you aren't future-proofed. You are one life event away from collapse. In a year where AI can change your job description overnight, or a global shift can disrupt your travel, you need agile habits. Chapter 13 is about agile habit design. It is the ability to maintain the intent of your blueprint while instantly pivoting the execution based on the environment. The software update mindset. Think of your habits like software on your phone. If the operating system changes, the app must update or it crashes. Most people try to run old version habits on new version life events. They travel for work and feel guilty because they couldn't go to their specific gym. That guilt causes them to give up on everything. The 2026 Blueprint. Habit portability. You must be able to export your habits into any environment. You need a light version and a heavy version of your daily OS. Strategy 1. The modular routine. Instead of one long, linear morning routine, you must build modules. Modules are 15-minute blocks of high-value activity that can be moved around like Lego bricks. Module A, the bioignition, sunlight plus movement. Module B, the deep sync, journaling plus planning. Module C, the skill stack, learning research. The habit. If your morning is hijacked by an 8 a.m. emergency call, you don't cancel the routine. You simply move Module A to your lunch break and Module C to your evening power down. The result? You maintain the success circuit. Chapter 4. Without the stress of perfectionism. Strategy 2. The minimum viable environment. MVE. In 2026, we work from hotels, cafes, and planes. To keep your neural firewalls, Chapter 2, strong, you need an MVE. The blueprint, the habit anchor kit. The action. Identify 3 physical items that signal work mode, regardless of where you are, e.g., a specific travel mousepad, a specific brand of tea, and your noise-canceling headphones. The habit. The moment those 3 items are on a table, you are in your deep zone. The result? You have decoupled your habit from a location and anchored it to an object. You can now be productive anywhere in the world in under 60 seconds. Strategy 3. The 24-hour pivot rule. If a major life change happens, you get a new boss, you move house, you start a new project, the old routine will feel like it's chafing. The habit. The Sunday beta test. The action. Every Sunday evening, look at your upcoming week. Ask, does my current habit stack fit this reality? The pivot. If you see a high-stress Wednesday, proactively downgrade your gym habit to an MVR, Chapter 4, and upgrade your recovery, Chapter 12. The result? You are a proactive architect, not a reactive victim. You are updating your software before the bug causes a crash. The if-then contingency map agility is just pre-planned flexibility. The blueprint, the contingency stack. If I am traveling, then my gym is 50 burpees in the hotel room. If I am sick, then my deep work is 20 minutes of reading. If the AI takes over my task A, then I immediately pivot to learning skill B. The result: you eliminate decision fatigue when things go wrong. You have a plan B for every habit. Real-life problem: the burnout detection. In 2026, the world is so fast we often don't realize we are redlining until we break. The Agile habit, the red flag metric. The action: pick one telltale sign that your habits are failing. E.g., I start biting my nails or I stop making my bed. The pivot: the moment you see the red flag, you must execute a 24-hour reset. Cancel all non-essential meetings. Sleep 9 hours. Resync with your biodata. Chapter 3. The result: you prevent a 3-week slump by taking a 1-day pivot. Action plan for Chapter 13. Step 1. Create your habit anchor kit. What are 3 small things you can carry in a bag that make any desk feel like your desk? Pack them today. Step 2. Script your if-then travel version. Pick your most important habit. Write down the hotel version of that habit right now. Step 3. The Sunday beta test. This Sunday, spend 5 minutes looking at your calendar. Proactively adjust one habit for the heaviest day of the week. In the year 2026, the unbreakable are those who can bend. Don't be a statue, be a river. The statue is beautiful until the earthquake hits. The river just finds a new path. Be the river. In the next chapter, we are going to look at the long game. We are going to talk about the legacy engine. How to turn your daily habits into wealth and influence that lasts into the 2030s. Chapter 14. The Legacy Engine. Habits that build wealth and influence for the 2030s. Most people build habits for the next 24 hours. They want to get through the day, finish the task, and reach the weekend. In 2026, that is a recipe for obsolescence. In a world where the present is being automated by machines at lightning speed, your only security is the long-term compound. While everyone else is reacting to the news cycle of the hour, you must be building the legacy engine. A legacy engine is a set of habits that don't just get things done, they build equity. Equity in your brand, equity in your bank account, and equity in your network. These are the habits that will ensure that while others are being disrupted by the 2030s, you are the one holding the keys. Chapter 14 is about shifting from maintenance to multiplication. The compounding interest of knowledge. In 2026, information is free, but synthesis is expensive. The problem: we consume fast food content, short clips and headlines that disappear from our minds in minutes. This builds zero equity. The legacy habit, the insight journal, the action: every day take one piece of information you learned and synthesize it. Write down how it connects to something else you know. The result: you are building a private knowledge graph. In 10 years, this database of unique connections will be your most valuable intellectual asset. You will see trends the AI cannot see because you have the human layer of context. Financial automation, the invisibly wealthy habit. Wealth in 2026 isn't about how much you make, it's about how much you automate. The blueprint, the percentage first rule. The habit. Use an AI fintech tool to automatically divert a percentage of every single dollar you receive, before you even see it, into future assets, stocks, crypto indexes, or land. The result: you eliminate the decision friction, Chapter 7, of saving. You are building wealth with zero willpower. You are paying your 2030 self first. The social capital dividend influence in 2026 is no longer about followers. It is about proof of work and depth of connection. The legacy habit, the weekly outreach protocol. The action, every Friday, reach out to one person in your field who is level 10, where you want to be, and one person who is level 1, someone you can help. The result, you are building a power lattice. By 2030, you will have a network that is both high leverage and deeply loyal. In a digital world, human access is the ultimate currency. Public proof, the share your work habit. If you do great work in a vacuum, you don't exist. In 2026, your digital footprint is your resume. The habit, the weekly ship. The action. Once a week, publish one thing. A LinkedIn post, a blog, a video, or a code snippet. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be proof. The result, you are building a public portfolio. When an opportunity arises in 2030, you won't have to apply. You will be searched for and found. You are creating surface area for luck, the anti-fragile health investment. Your body is the hardware for your legacy. If the hardware fails, the software doesn't matter. The legacy habit, the biological buffer. The action, focus on structural integrity, strength training, and zone 2 cardio. The goal, don't just stay thin, build muscle and bone density. The result, you are building a buffer against the physical decline that usually hits in middle age. You are ensuring you have the energy to enjoy the 2030s, not just survive them. Real-life problem, the quarterly review. Most people never check if their habits are actually leading to wealth. They are just busy. The habit, the 90-day pivot. The action. Every 90 days, audit your bank account, your health metrics, and your network. Ask, is this compounding or just maintaining? The result, you stop wasting time on vanity habits and double down on equity habits. Action plan for Chapter 14. Step 1, automate one contribution. Open your banking app right now. Set a recurring transfer of even $20 to an investment account. Start the compound. Step 2, the outreach. Send one message to someone you admire today. Don't ask for a favor. Just tell them specifically why their work inspired you. Step 3. Pick your ship day. Declare one day a week, e.g., Saturday morning, as your publishing day. Commit to sharing one insight with the world. A year from now, you will wish you had started today. In 2026, the gap between the reactive and the proactive is widening. Build the engine now, so you can coast later. In our final chapter, we are going to talk about the soul of the sovereign. We are going to talk about how to stay human in a world of machines. We are going to talk about the unplugged sovereign. Chapter 15. The unplugged sovereign, maintaining your humanity in a hyper-connected world. You have the tools, you have the firewalls, you have the biodata and the legacy engine. You are now a precision-engineered high performer of the year 2026. But there is one final habit. The most difficult one. The one that will define whether you are a master of the future or just a very efficient slave to it. The habit of being human. In a world where AI can simulate empathy, where algorithms can predict your desires, and where connection is often just data moving between servers, your greatest asset is your undigitized self. The part of you that exists when the Wi-Fi is off. The part of you that remembers what it feels like to breathe cold air, to look into a human eye without a lens in between, and to sit in a silence that isn't being monetized. Chapter 15 is about the unplugged sovereign. It is the final piece of the blueprint, ensuring that as you build your future-proof life, you don't lose the very life you are trying to protect. The analog sanctuary habit. In 2026, our homes are smart. Our mirrors have displays. Our refrigerators have cameras. This digital humidity is everywhere. To stay sovereign, you must have a dry room. The blueprint, the tech-free zone, the habit, designate one room or even just one specific chair where electronics are physically forbidden. No phones, no tablets, no smartwatches. The activity. In this space, you only engage in primary human acts, reading paper books, drawing, talking, or thinking. The result? You are creating a neural decompression chamber. You are reminding your brain that it is an organic entity, not a peripheral device. The eye-to-eye protocol. By 2026, we spend more time looking at avatars than at faces. This is causing a thinning of our social fabric. We are forgetting how to read the subtle micro-expressions of real humans. The habit. The human-first rule. The action. Whenever you are interacting with a human being, a barista, a spouse, a colleague, you must put your phone face down or in your pocket. The rule: total eye contact for the first 5 seconds of any interaction. The result: you are reclaiming the oxytocin bond. You are signaling to the other person and to yourself that the human in front of you is more important than the algorithm in your pocket. The tactile habit. The power of the physical. We live in a world of smoothness, glass screens, plastic surfaces, digital buttons. Our sense of touch is being starved. The blueprint, the physical hobby, the habit. Spend at least 3 hours a week doing something that requires manual dexterity. Gardening, woodworking, cooking from scratch, playing a physical instrument, or even handwriting letters. The logic. Tactile feedback is a grounding wire for the human nervous system. It reduces anxiety in a way that scrolling never can. It keeps you in your body and out of the cloud. The sovereign, silence. Learning to disappear. In 2026, there is a constant pressure to post, to share, and to be seen. This is the visibility trap. If you feel the need to document every meal, every workout, and every sunset, you aren't living the moment. You are performing it for the algorithm. The habit, the secret win, the action. Once a week, do something incredible. Help someone achieve a goal, visit a beautiful place, and tell no one. Do not post it. Do not photograph it. The result: you are building internal validation. You are proving that your joy does not require a like to be real. You are the sovereign of your own experiences. The Sunset Review. The final meta habit. This book is a blueprint, but a blueprint must be lived. Every day, as the sun goes down, you must perform the final check. The question: was I the user today, or was I the used? The adjustment. If you felt the drift, Chapter 1, don't judge yourself. Just adjust the firewall for tomorrow. Final action plan. The human reset. Step 1. The phone-free walk. Today, leave your phone at home. Walk for 15 minutes. Look at the trees. Look at the people. Experience the world without a filter. Step 2. The handwritten note. Write a physical note of thanks to someone who has helped you. Use a pen. Use paper. Feel the friction of the ink. Step 3. The tech-free hour. Tonight, the final hour before bed is unplugged. Candles or lamps only. No screens. Talk to someone you love, or read a book that has nothing to do with your career. The year 2026 is a beautiful, chaotic, and challenging time. You have the habits to thrive in its markets, its technologies, and its pace. But never forget, the goal of the blueprint is not to make you a better machine. It is to give you the freedom to be a better human. Build your legacy, protect your focus, master your body, but above all, stay sovereign.